Welcome to Sacred Things. This series of videos is dedicated to sharing truths that the Lord made real to me and helped me to live out as I went through the devastation of sexual sin in my marriage. I call them sacred because they came to me as I cried out to God for the wisdom I so greatly needed during that difficult time. My desire is that you will find hope, direction, practical answers, and spiritual insight into how to deal with and live with a man addicted to sexual sin. In the moment, all you have is how you're feeling. You know, you're just slammed right now with a reality you didn't know was yours. You know, when you're in this, the priority is the marriage, but that's not the right priority. Jesus Christ was my priority, and I had to put him in his proper place.
Probably one of the biggest challenges, I would guess, in the crisis moment of finding out a husband is in sexual sin is the emotions. And what are some of the challenges that a wife is going to experience when she is dealing with her emotions and this crisis?
Well, in the moment, all you have is how you're feeling. You know, you're just slammed right now with a reality you didn't know was yours. Again, I think about what it was like for me, and there are so many feelings that you experience, and they, at least for me, and a lot of women I've counseled through the years, they happen all at once. They don't come one at a time. Some women get one emotion, and that's anger, murder. Most of us get just a rush of all kinds of things. Anger, fear, I think fear. Fear for me was enormous. Rejection, betrayal, insecurity, confidence just bottoms out. There's what's wrong with me?
Yeah. Kind
of a feeling. I mean, there's so much that happens, especially in the context of a wife who's been hurt by her husband's sexual sin. You know, the emotions rush in and take over. They just do. I could compare it to a guy who has the same experience with lust. Lust just rushes in and apprehends his brain.
Yeah.
And so he starts acting based on those feelings, emotions, thoughts. Same is true for a woman. However those feelings come, she finds out her husband's been involved in pornography. So you get this rush of feelings and emotions, and for a woman, the reaction to all that is to, what you want to do is stop the pain, stop the bleed, stop the emergency, and
whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. And most women don't usually sit and think through anything. You don't.
That's the point, right? They're just being carried.
Yeah,
by
very
their
much being carried by their emotions, yeah.
Yeah.
And because there's just so much to process, you know. Most women have children. I never had to worry about children. We never had children. But most women have children, and they have to worry about that. They have to worry about finance, because the emergency is, there's such a fracture now in the marriage. And you don't know what this means. What is this going to turn into? Not only does she feel rejected, totally rejected, because her husband's very interested, obviously, in other women or men. So there's that to deal with. There's just the crushing betrayal and rejection. Then there's, you know, one thing leads to another. One bad thought leads to another. Where's all this going?
Yeah.
So she's responding to pain. And then in the unfolding days, they kind of, it's like you're being dogpiled. It's just one on top of the other, on top of the other.
What's the danger?
If you keep responding to pain through your feelings and your emotions, you're becoming someone. I am speaking now from experience because I totally responded in the flesh. I was full of fear, full of anxiety, full of self. I was very self-focused. So I would make stupid decisions, you know. I would just, there's so many responses to it. The right response, which hardly anybody does at first, is to wait and to pray and get the mind of God and find out from Him what I should do. I mean, that doesn't mean that you don't have feelings and emotions. You definitely do. You cry buckets and you feel the grief. You feel the loss. It feels like your life is coming apart at the seams. You can't live by what you feel. And that just runs through all of life. People that live by their feelings usually have a very difficult life. Things don't turn out right when you live like that. You know?
What you're saying goes completely against the common mantra of our day, follow your heart.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes completely against it. But to make decisions based on that pain will take her somewhere. Every decision we make, choices. How many times have you heard that? Every choice has a consequence. And it's true. For a man and for a woman, everything you do has a consequence attached to it. It's the law of sowing and reaping. And if you're a Christian, of course, I'm speaking to Christian people. I'm not speaking necessarily to people who don't know Christ. I'm speaking to believers. And there are principles at work in your life as a believer. And I made a lot of stupid mistakes because I felt something. Not every woman will obey those feelings, and hopefully she won't. But some who do end up in a worse mess than the one they're trying to escape. All I'm trying to say is get into a right balance with what your feelings are dictating to you. Find a place or a person or a situation where someone can walk you through biblically how to get through this instead of just flying off and doing crazy stuff. When I was going through all my stuff with Steve, and I don't even know how this happened. I really don't remember how I knew to get into the Bible because I backslid. I was away from the Lord. But at some point, I knew to get into the Word. He started to really make the Word of God real to me again. When I got saved, it was such a living Word. It was so alive to me, and I lost that through all of my bad decisions. But He was restoring that to me, and it became, again, a living Word to me. And He was changing my mind, literally. He just, through His Word, was changing the way I thought.
Yeah.
He was changing my reactions to things, but it took time.
Yeah.
It's not like a once and done thing. It's a lifetime of spending time being washed by the water of the Word. And that's what women need. And that is, that and just your life, your prayer life, your life with Jesus, spending time with Him is what just gives you what you don't have, what you cannot produce. That is the answer to out of control feelings, out of control emotions, out of control anger, out of control lust, out of control fantasy, all of it. He is God, and He can do these things in us. He can change us. Just requires a lot of patience. and time, which most, especially younger people, have a very hard time with. We want it now. We are a microwave society.
So it sounds like you're saying wait, in the sense of don't follow your feelings, don't do what they're telling you to do, most of which I would imagine seems very logical and plausible. And wait in the sense of coming to God without all of the, you've got to tell me what to do right now, and you've got to change this right now, but just as best as they know how to humble their hearts in the presence of God.
And get their priorities right. You know, when you're in this, the priority is the marriage, but that's not the right priority. And I had to learn that the hard way. Jesus Christ was my priority, and I had to put him in his proper place.